Two drunk assholes talking about whatever comes to mind. We present Filler with Jack Fike and Rob Harper. Filler is Jack and my insane rambling.
In this episode, we go from talking about Elysium at the beginning to degrading into talking about comic books in general. Please do enjoy.
Yes, it was very well, like, just, when the ship crashes, and they start crashing, and they start passing over stuff, and you look at it.
And, like, digging into stuff, and digging into the ground as it flew.
And just watching the stuff, and it was laid out, like, in this odd, and why are all their lawns like that? Why is everything organized like that?
It was just the use of space, since space is limited, right?
And it fit ergonomically to the space station rather than to square blocks you would see in a subdivision.
Yeah.
It was just small stuff like that. It really blew my mind. Was it 1,000% an original concept, a movie that broke all kinds of... No, but the stuff it did so well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what the thing of his movies is. It's all about production design. The stories are whatever, but the worlds he makes is amazing.
He's 2 for 2 for me,
as
far as I'm concerned. Like, it wasn't what I expected going in, but
and even Matt Damon was good in it. Like, he's not the greatest actor, especially after watching Contagion, but he was really good in that, where he played he was upset at the right parts, and
yeah.
Like, it was a good movie. I was thoroughly impressed, and it just got buried under everything else. Like, nobody ever talks about it.
No, well, because
look what other things that came out this summer were so much bigger, blockbustery.
Yeah, it was not talked about because it was bad. It was not talked about because no one saw it. It was not talked about because there was a lot of stuff going on.
And it came at the end of the summer where there's some fatigue of big budget movies after a summer, every summer, where you're like, okay, I'm sick of seeing this spectacles, like.
Yeah, especially disaster porn. This year, people really just like, I think you couldn't have got wedged another disaster, city gets leveled due to X because of Y. You couldn't have, it would not have made sense. People at that point were like, okay.
Just sick of it, yeah.
Okay. Man of Steel made us all sick of it, and then everything after that.
Well, then Pacific Rim was similar and, like, destroying cities and better,
yeah.
but still, it was just but Elysium was different. That's the thing. Like, it was different from all those. It wasn't really a big story. It was about a guy who... It turned into a big story. It was really about a guy who just got fucked up and had nothing to lose.
Yeah. Who literally... It was refreshing that it wasn't for his kid he was doing it.
Yeah.
It was refreshing that it wasn't for a loved one he was doing it. It was someone who had...
Sort of, he was doing it for a loved one.
Nothing to live for. Like, really. It was a shitty job, shitty world, shitty everything. But it was refreshing that it was someone who said, I want to live. Not like, oh, my boy... Take my heart, because he's one. No, he was like, listen, dude, I want to live.
Yeah, and then, yeah.
It's easy.
By the end, he realizes that he has to sacrifice himself for the greater good, but he was at the end.
Pissed, but,
well, he was also he knew that was the only way to do it. He was kind of stuck, and he sacrificed himself because he was stuck.
Right.
Like, if he had a choice, I'm sure he would have lived.
It was a nice character arc.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
He went from someone who was just doing it for himself.
Selfish, yeah.
In the middle, he was doing it because that little girl...
Even then, he was just like, I can't help you. Like, I'm out of here.
He did...
Until the other guy kidnapped him.
Beginning, that was his character arc from the beginning, and then midway, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to get this girl help. And
but even
at the end, he was like, you know what, I can get everyone help, but I have to die. Like, it went from me to everyone. It was...
But even if the crazy guy had never kidnapped that girl and the mother... He would never have been back to them.
No, oh God.
The only reason he was back to them is because they got pulled into it. Yeah, so he was never doing it for her, really. It was just that was a bonus, like.
And that's why it was a nice, because they could have jumped right into that. They
like, okay, he could have walked out and then come back. Okay, I'll do it for you or whatever. Yeah. But he never did.
Hey kid, you're sick. You're gonna die. And you've offered me bandages. Well, now you've touched
my heart. Yeah.
My heartstrings have been tugged, and I will go up there. I'm gonna take you with me. Like, they could have went the easy route. They made you follow through the process a little bit,
and they could have. It wasn't his daughter, right? They could have just made it his daughter, and she was born this. Wait, wasn't that when we were together? But they never. They kind of implied it, but they never said. I expected it to be something with the DNA where they would. We need his DNA.
You're right, because you need the DNA, and I thought for sure when she sat in there,
Yeah.
he was a citizen, and they would go, oh, DNA match.
Yeah.
And then, no.
That's what I thought for sure was going to happen.
Curveball that they threw.
Yeah. That's what I like too, because it could have been so easily, oh, it's because it's your daughter, so it works. But they didn't even do that. They were just like, no, it's just...
And him go, what? Well, I better help because now I love this girl that I would have just abandoned, which he did. Yeah.
He was leaving them. He wasn't abandoning them so much that he knew they'd be in trouble if he stayed, so he was getting the hell out of there.
You're right. He left them in the same situation they were in before, which isn't technically abandoning if they were in a good situation. She was dying. She had cancer.
Oh, the little Carol? Yeah.
So...
sucks to be you. It's not... Matt Damon's not God. He can't...
Sucks to be you, bitch.
He can't resurrect people. Well, he can in the end, it turned out, but...
I saw a guy's head clean.
That was crazy.
Off by a grenade. Like,
when he got killed, I was like, oh, that was a weird way to kill him off. And then I'm like, oh, he's coming back. Because I thought he was dead. Like, his face got blown off.
Because his story arc almost...
Mm-hmm. He wasn't necessarily the big bad guy, because the girl, Jodie Foster, was the big bad guy.
Yes, and if you would have... She was the big bad girl.
Yeah.
He proved that he was a brutal bad guy, but in reality, he was just a guy whose view on things were a little...
He was a psychopath.
Slanted.
There's no doubt he was a psychopath.
He was, but was that the society... Was that the society he was living in? Because
you could say that about anybody, right?
But in that world, I didn't see anyone with too much in the way of redeeming qualities.
No, everybody was kind of out for themselves, because they had to be, otherwise you'd be dead. Nobody was altruistic.
They only showed dystopian...
Although probably the girl was the closest to being someone who was trying to do good, the nurse.
Yeah.
But even then, she was doing it for her daughter, really. But
she was the closest, but it fit in a world that guy was out for himself because it looked like everyone else was kind of out for themselves.
And I liked the cops when they broke Matt Damon's arm, too. That was a cool part. Where you're like, whoa, his arm's broken like 20 minutes into the movie.
And then that robot he has to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Raising your voice to me? No.
Yeah, because he obviously got in trouble before with his probation robot.
His probation robot, where people had graffitied around him. So, obviously, he was not the first person to be unhappy with the service he would receive at the hands of the probation bot.
Well, but it was pretty... It's been an interesting world, for sure. I just like the technology in it. It's very cool.
Now, did you hear they're casting more people for the Justice League movie?
Oh, really?
I forget who they're casting.
Like,
they've got Batman, obviously, Superman, obviously. We've heard Wonder Woman. There was someone else.
Martian Manhunter. I heard.
That's who it was.
Momoa or Conan was supposed to be him, right? Because he got cast. They don't know what he is cast as. The guy who played Conan.
Yeah.
And they said maybe it's Martian Manhunter, but
I hope it's Lobo, but there's no way.
Do you see the new Lobo?
No.
He looks like a 90s...
Oh, you told me he was like an emo kid.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure they'd do that if they were doing Lobo. It won't be Lobo. Lobo's awesome, but there's no way that they do.
So, they're fast-tracking a Justice League.
It's almost like they're sneaking in a Justice League movie and a Batman-Superman movie. Unless it's all just cameos, or just the very end, they all walk out kind of thing, you know?
But even if that's the case, that's a bolder step than I thought.
Well, they have, like you said, they had to do it because they're so far behind Marvel right now. They have to fast track it.
By the time Marvel's done, superheroes will be the new zombie.
Yeah, if not already.
It's gonna take a decade.
I don't even think it's gonna take that long.
You think so?
Because now they're gonna have those 3 television shows on Netflix plus the movies plus Guardians of the Galaxy plus Ant-Man, Avengers 2, Captain America, Thor 2 came out. That's a lot of movies.
2 movies a year for movie-going audiences, 4 shows for Netflix-going audiences, 1 show for TV audiences.
At least
you have to seek it out. Only real to have access to and seek out all of those mediums. Yeah. You have to be someone who's really invested. If these were all movies, if it was 7 movies
I guess so.
a year, people would be like, "Oh, fuck this." How many people?
And the good thing is, the Marvel movies seem very different. Like Thor is very different from Captain America, say. Oh, this Captain America movie looks a lot like Avengers movie, but
I think you're still hearing people clamoring for them. Even Thor 2, people were
did you see it?
I didn't see it yet. No.
You should watch it. I think it's better than the first one just because it has a bit more story. And it's fun.
The first one was the origin story, so...
Sort of. Not as bad as an origin story as most.
Oh, they snuck the origin story in.
Yeah, a little bit.
They snuck...
But Thor's origin story is not... He's a god. There's not much... it's not like he was bitten by a radioactive spider and he has to learn how to use his powers,
Him being in Asgard as a god is the origin...
And them as kids.
And is on Earth meeting people and being dragged into the lives of Earthlings and caring. That's the origin story.
I guess so.
Kind of
Introduced him to Earth.
Snuckled in.
Did you see the trailer for Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, I did see it.
Ugh. Those villains look terrible. Did you see, they keep calling him Mechazor Rhino? It's like a big mech.
The Ultimate Rhino, that's what he looks like.
No, Ultimate Rhino is a powered armor. This is literally a mech. It's like a vehicle.
Yeah, but you only get to see... Well, see, this is the thing. You only get to see the foot drop, which...
No, I've seen a full picture of it. Somewhere. It looks like a rhino that the guy sits in the head.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's big.
Oh.
Yeah. It does, and I've seen pictures of the Ultimate Rhino. It's more of an armor. That's what they should have done.
I've seen now a production still of, what's his name? The actor that plays Rhino.
Oh, it's,
Pig Vomit.
Pig Vomit?
Because that's what he played in the Howard Stern movie.
Oh.
Lady of the Lake,
all these movies. I forget his name.
Him in, with the motion capture.
Green screen stuff going on.
But he's wearing, just enough of the disguise that he can get, but it's...
Maybe the vehicle one is like an early version, and then he gets the armor.
I don't know, and he's bald, and I'm thinking, okay, and he had some stuff on his face, and he was like, and I thought, okay, well, that's odd, because he's supposed to be a scientist, but you know what, it's just a production still, and it was just him moving with the stuff on, probably so he didn't walk like a human being, that he walked a bit. But then in the trailer, I see what looks like him with a machine gun in the street, spraying bullets, and I'm like, no, I think he's supposed to be he was originally a scientist.
Oh, yeah, it's like...
He wasn't a thug that got
But
stuck.
I think in the Ultimate one, he is just a thug that's in the suit.
And then, now, since then, I've heard that things have changed. Apparently, the Enemies of Spider-Man, I think it's called, or something like that. The
Sinister Six?
It's the Sinister Six plus others. It's the Spectacular Enemies of Spider-Man or something. It's a comic book.
Oh.
Apparently, it is so good because it's one of the top ones that they're recommending for this year. That and Hawkeye, apparently.
Yeah, Hawkeye has a really good series right now. Kind of alternative.
A view of his dog. His dog watches him.
Yeah, there's a whole story with the dog. Yeah.
So that interests me. But apparently, the Spider-Man one, they show the villains. It's like a villains book with Spider-Man. They reverse it, and the villains are kind of sad sack, kind of
trying to do the Flash villain thing from DC, where the villains are the interesting ones.
That's the exact parallel I was going for, where it's the Captain Boomerang, the Mirror Master.
That's what it sounds like by you describing it. It sounds like they stole the idea.
I've not seen an episode, I've never seen an issue, but from what I've heard, that's what they've done, is turn them into kind of like sad sacks where you're kind of sympathetic towards them, because they really aren't great villains, and there's really no surprise that when they try their scheme, that someone shows up and goes, hey, listen, I'm going to beat you up now. Just be prepared for that.
That's always been the Spider-Man villains, pretty much, though.
But usually it's from Spider-Man's point of view.
Oh, I see. Yeah, from their point of view instead. Yeah.
Yet again. So it sounds interesting.
Have you seen the Green Goblin in that new trailer? He looks terrible. He's got like a little spiked hair. What's up with that? That looks like the worst movie ever. That's Amazing Spider-Man 2 to me.
And when they pull back Harry, who is the father's laying there in the bed, and he's all like diseased, and it's the Harry Osborn characters look silly. You see, they've got Gwen Stacy wearing the same outfit that she wore in the comic book when she died. So
that like mini skirt with. And they do have a big bridge scene too.
And hopefully a vehicle in flames goes over the side. Spider-Man catches it.
I'm pretty sure that's shown in the trailer.
Climbs down and then rescues the people, because I've never seen that before.
That's a lot of people are saying this. It's Spider-Man 3 all over again.
The Electro scene, J.A. Fox is awful. The outfit these guys awful. The special effects are awful. But I'm gonna say the scene itself looks fun. It looked enjoyable. Like
Where he's blowing things up and Spider-Man's spinning around.
Spinning around them, and as it explodes, he goes to the next, and then it's it looked.
It did look pretty comic book cool. Like it looked pretty accurate.
Yeah, who has a knack for action, like an eye for fun, but the rest of it, you're right, looked abysmal. I didn't want to watch the trailer after we talked. I said I went on YouTube. I said I'm going to see just because.
And that have you seen the Godzilla teaser?
What?
You haven't seen that one yet?
No.
Nothing really happens. You kind of see Godzilla in smoke. But I guess he's like, Godzilla before was pretty tall. Now he's like 10 times as tall as he was before. More Pacific Rim height. But it's this pretty much Halo jumpers jumping out of a plane and Godzilla's destroying San Francisco. But it's just a teaser.
I was unaware.
Yeah, it's nothing special. It looks alright, but it's, it looks like the movie's going to be more from a military point of view, which is kind of cool. Instead of, what was it, reporter or whatever the other one was?
Yeah, investigative reporter looking for...
That was not good. This looks more like
it wasn't good. It was A for effort, D for production, it was... Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, that's the thing, like... This looks... I don't know, who knows what it's actually going to be like, but...
Yeah, you don't know.
No.
I do know that Arrow rocked my socks.
That was pretty awesome.
For a mid-season, I've never heard of mid-season finales.
Yeah, they all do that now, which is...
I guess that's their thing, because...
All shows do that. The Walking Dead does it, like... It's so they can extend the season and...
by a few weeks.
Yeah, so they can get more advertising money, right?
Well, and you know what? I have a lot of things to do during the Christmas holidays that don't involve a TV show. So
but that's almost the time you have more time during the Christmas holidays, you'd think to...
No. Just for myself, you're running around, you're doing things Christmas and stuff. You forget what day it is if you have enough days off in a row. You're visiting or stuff like that. A break during that time, so instead of Arrow, I can watch, Silver and Gold, Silver
That's it, to make room for the specials.
A Rudolph special, I can see that. I was on, what day was it? One day I turned on to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, it was Arrow. And they were playing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I thought, why is that? But I guess CW every year for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's what they do.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
It's just a special they do.
And I thought, oh, or was it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It was one of the two, because those were the only two shows I watched.
Yeah, on TV.
Yeah. Just because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s getting better, Arrow's gotten really good.
Arrow's always been good, though.
Yeah.
There's only a few episodes that were like,
take out the Huntress and slap that look off of Black Canary's face, and you've got a pretty solid show.
I didn't mind the Huntress ones.
Really? The second one where she comes back as an emo bitch?
Yeah, that one was worse. The first one was good, though.
The first one was good.
And you really hate Black Canary.
Look, this is me just talking.
She does have a fucked up face.
I'm just talking.
Of all the people they could have cast, I don't know why they cast her. Is she the same girl they cast in the pilot?
No, they
I didn't think so, yeah.
They actually filmed a couple scenes.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because Ollie's hair is particularly bad in a few scenes where it's like obviously a wig.
But she looks a grumpy at all times.
Yeah, you're right.
I'd love to slap her in her face.
And Shadow had to die.
You called it.
Oh, yeah?
You called it last week. You said she's going to die.
I knew she was going to die, but I just didn't... It was kind of a weird way.
I don't know what she is in the comic book.
I don't know if she's anybody real.
But she's going to die. She's going to motivate someone to do something. And Ollie, no! And he jumped in front of...
and then he just went, okay, pop.
You knew she wasn't going to get popped. You didn't know Shadow was going to get popped.
Yeah. Although Ollie did say about Black Canary, he said something like, oh, you were dead, or something like that. But like you say, it's got to be off screen, like the boat explodes, or...
Yeah, and I hope he's the one who does it, because at first I thought she had a GPS on her, and that's how he found, and that's why he was like, I'm going to kill you for
betraying
us again. Apparently that's not the case, because he was going to shoot her in the back of the head, but no, if I were Ollie, and I would have said, yeah, shoot the blonde bitch. I hate her face. She betrayed us a couple times already. Shadow's hot. Shadow
Saved my life. Saved Deathstroke's
I'm
life.
against Shadow. I owe Shadow at least 3 or 4 lives. This bitch, really? No, she treated me like shit. So plug her in the head right now. And he'd be like, but I don't know. No, do it. Do it. Come on. Okay, I guess so. The black guys behind him, the pirates, be like, come on,
He's daring you.
A bitch here.
He's double dog daring you.
You better do it, or else you know what? By pirate rules, we have to follow him. Is that a thing? Yes, it is.
I loved when Deathstroke came in Slade. He's not Deathstroke yet, technically. He came in and just rocked those guys, just broke the gun in half, threw a guy through a tree.
Well, yeah, he grabbed the guy. I thought, okay, well, are they going to do it? Because it's a little overpowered compared to the comic books.
Yeah.
When he grabbed the guy and whipped him against the tree, I was like, no, that's they've.
Well, same with that other guy who was infected. The guy who broke down the door and carried that big thing.
Solomon Grundy?
Yeah. Who turned out to be... Who they never even implied was him in the first episode. In the second episode, they're like, yep, it's Solomon Grundy. I was like, what?
Yeah, but that's the best thing. They tell you his name. No, they told you his first name in the first one. And people had weaseled it out.
Oh, I didn't even know Solomon Grundy had a real name.
The second one, they kind of... When you read that, Solomon Grundy.
Isn't Solomon Grundy like a zombie?
Well, that's the thing. Did you see in this one?
His face got all fucked up.
He's half dead already. Well, Solomon Grundy was all dead.
Yeah, you're right. And it was like, because they said what happens on Friday when he dies or something like that, was it?
Yeah.
Or is it Saturday? When does he die?
He dies on Saturday, buried on Sunday.
Yeah, so they kind of are like, what happens when that happens?
He goes, well, he died on Saturday. And I'm like, yeah, you left him there splashed with chemicals that have already made someone go from a human to a pretty strong monster.
Golem kind of monster guy.
Well, imagine what's going to happen when that guy dies and is then splashed with a bevy of other chemicals, and his face is all like, because it hit and it starts spreading this grayish green across his face. I'm like, that's a supervillain being made right there. Put an arrow in his head. Is this your first day? There's a superhero.
What's up with
right now?
With Roy though having superpowers now? What's going to be up with that? That's a little out of the left field.
That is. See, and
that came from nowhere. I was like, what the hell? I thought his arm was going to get cut off.
When he got injected, I thought he was getting partially ejected.
And I thought he was going to cut his...
And he was like, I'm just marginally stronger.
I thought he was going to... Because he injected him in the arm, I thought Arrow was going to cut off his arm. I don't know where they're going to go with that.
And they even showed him in that... Because they don't show him being superpowered in
Well, they showed his leg heal.
And I thought, okay, well, advanced healing kind of goes along with... being superpowered, but it wouldn't throw a balance. But after the
I never saw the
preview or whatever it was. They show him. They show him with super strength, and I'm like,
maybe they find a cure or something for him. Especially if it burns you out. It seems like it. Like with Solomon Grundy, he was dying because of it. It was just slower than everybody else, right? It was like burning him out, being that strong, kind of. That's what they seem to imply. That I think that's why they were saying, because he said. He said something like, he's not looking good, or they mentioned that it was like he was not healthy for being that powerful. It seemed to imply that he was dying because of it.
Oh.
Or at least he implied that maybe that's why he wrote that poem, like the Solomon Grundy thing down. Because he was saying, like, because it's all about dying, right? Or living and then dying. So I don't know. So maybe they gotta find a cure for Roy. That'll be the next episode, maybe. I like how Slade was like, no, he's my friend. I don't want to kill him. I want him to suffer.
Yeah, and they grayed up his temples because in comic books he's got
gray hair. Yeah.
And
that patch was awesome. Like, it was perfect patch. It was one of those. It wasn't like an eye patch. It was like a right into his orb.
It was the perfect patch. This perfect the suit, perfect off. Perfect.
He almost reminded me of what's his name? The guy who was immortal, who in DC he's always around. Savage. Vandal Savage.
Yes.
He kind of reminded me of him when he was... The moment you hear his voice, you're like, okay, I know who that is, but the way he acted...
Vandal Savage in Young Justice was the best I've ever seen him.
Was he in it? I don't remember.
He was. He was the best. And you know what? If they're making a Justice League movie, and Conan's going to be in it, if
he could be Vandal Savage?
If the Dothraki's going to be in it, he would make an excellent Vandal Savage.
Yeah. I think the villain's going to be Darkseid, though, for that, didn't they? Or maybe they never announced it.
They couldn't go as obscure as Vandal Savage. They couldn't.
Well, they go more obscure before, like other things.
They can't. They've determined that there's good. Batman versus Superman means Batman and Superman have a misunderstanding. They clash very, very briefly, and then whoever it is going to bring them to fruition.
Well, I think it's gonna be Luthor. No, it's got to be, right?
So it couldn't be someone like Vandal Savage. You can't. Even
I hope it's Luthor and Brainiac. That'd be cool. And bring in like OMAC, because Batman created OMAC, and then Brainiac can take over him, and the satellite that watches over.
Yeah, the Wayne.
Because they showed a Wayne satellite, I guess, in Thing. I never.
Steel.
Yeah, I gotta watch that movie. I can't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah, you've heard my rant.
Yeah, I like watching them just to be sure that, not to be sure, because me and you are usually on the same page. It's very rare. There's a few movies that were opposites, but not very many.
I thoroughly enjoyed some movies that have been panned, so maybe I'm not for society at large. I'm not.
But usually it's the opposite. Usually when you like something, usually it doesn't necessarily have to be what people like. But when you hate something, mostly everybody else hates it too.
But I gotta think I'm in your wheelhouse with a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, you're totally right about Green Lantern. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
It was still, I wanted to see it just to see how bad it was, and it was just as bad as I thought it would be.
And Green Lantern, I would watch again. Man of Steel, I couldn't sit through parts of it. Like, I couldn't sit through, if someone said...
You saw redeeming parts in Green Lantern, but...
Yes.
So it's even worse than that, eh?
It's triumphantly worse than that.
Yeah, I gotta watch that then. And, I've never seen The Amazing Spider-Man either, which I've never liked Spider-Man. The only reason the other Spider-Man movies were good is because of Sam Raimi. That's the only reason that I thought they were good. For me, Spider-Man is like Superman. I have no interest in him.
Spider-Man...
Even though I read, the comic books, I read Spider-Man comic books, but...
Well, Spider-Man teaming up with Wonder Man to fight the Griffin was awesome.
That'd be a good movie. They should do, Marvel team-up movies. Just well, they can't, because they don't own...
They can't.
I assume Wonder Man's part of Marvel still, and Spider-Man's Sony, so...
He's not a mutant, so yes, he would be...
Yeah, he's not a mutant, and he's not Spider-Man, so...
Yeah. So yeah, Marvel owns it.
Oh, and he's not Fantastic Four either, which... That's why they can't use the Skrulls, which sucked. Imagine how much better Avengers would have been if those were Skrulls.
I thought so before seeing the movie. Afterwards, I think that the Chitauri are in Marvel. They are a thing.
They're the ultimate Skrulls. That's all they are.
They're the ultimate Skrulls. So, as an afterthought, looking back, and not as an Avengers apologist, but if you're going to go with the Ultimates, everything else, you have to follow through with the Ultimates Skrulls. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not all Ultimate, though, because Thor is definitely mainstream Marvel. Because Ultimate Thor is very hippie. Except
for when, in the middle of the Avengers, when he's down and out, and he's thinking, this is not my fault. I'm the one who brought Loki here. I'm the one then he finally he's like, I can sit here and whine like a little bitch, or I can pick up my hammer and go, be a hero.
Yeah.
His suit literally turns into the Ultimate.
Oh, yeah. Looking-wise, yeah. Just character-wise, he's not the same.
But the character does a thing, and I haven't seen Thor 2, so I'm wondering if in Avengers he went from stock Thor to Ultimate Thor.
No, Thor 2 is Thor. Regular Thor, 100%.
Okay.
Crazy regular Thor.
He literally, they hit you over the head with a mallet. People who knew what they were looking for. It was not like a subtle change of acting choice, a thing. He literally changed his uniform. The armor goes...
Yeah, he did more armored, yeah. Although regular Thor now has that armor, so I think that's kind of seeped in from Ultimate into regular, so...
Well, that's the thing, that I've heard rumor that they're going to crush the Ultimates universe.
Well, Galactus is... That's still happening right now, the end hasn't happened yet. Galactus is currently crushing the Ultimate universe.
But
I have a feeling that...
I'm an old school Avengers fan. I liked the West Coast Avengers, I liked the Great Lakes Avengers, I was fans of those stuff.
I had a dream that they made a Great Lakes Avengers movie.
I want to see Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, and Big Bertha.
I want to see,
I-Man who just kept dying.
I want to see, but that being in mind and that being what my base is, the Ultimates universe is better for a number of reasons. And if that's what became the norm...
At least for the Avengers. Ultimate X-Men sucked.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was bad. They made them all like teenagers, and it was bad. And it's generally thought to be bad too. Whereas Ultimates was pretty cool. Like they made pretty much all the before the Avengers were cool again. Ultimates made them cool. And then Spider-Man was just, he's not that much, well, the original Spider-Man in the Ultimates, before they changed him, wasn't that much different. He was pretty similar. They just made him younger, again. Because that was the fun times when Spider-Man was a teenager, not when he was a adult dealing with his wife, and
Yeah.
which is generally considered the downfall of Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was much like the X-Men dealing with being an
very
outsider
similar.
through pubescence rather than being an outsider, to have him come home with a lunch pail and a punch clock and hey, I'm home. I'm gonna just drop my pants, sit in my underwear, and watch the football game.
Turns into Married with Children.
Yeah. No, that's not anyone finds interesting. I don't think. I will watch the new X-Men movie. I've got no problem with that. First Class.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
Oh, I didn't like the last.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah.
No?
The end ruined it for you.
It didn't ruin the whole movie for me. That's putting words in my...
Right.
What I did was I laughed.
Yeah.
I belly laughed the last 10 minutes, and it's awful. But the rest of the movie was...
I don't even think it's like the last 2 minutes, really. Like, from when he gets shot, pretty much, is when it goes down.
Yeah.
Because I like how they raid with the plane, and Magneto pulls the sub, and...
The sub, when he pulls it... There's parts that are a little awkward for me, and parts that I think probably play to people who know, a subtle nod here, a wink there, that I didn't get. But, and I didn't like January Jones as...
No, she was terrible.
Okay, well, then I'm not alone there.
She was just, like, no personality. She was boring.
And that's not the White Queen that I
No,
know.
she's supposed to be sultry and, like, seductive and manipulative.
Yeah, and she just seemed like stone-faced, and like as if they were trying to portray her as like, oh, she can turn diamond.
Yeah.
So she's very diamond.
But that's not her personality. She turns diamonds because she likes spling.
But when he's pulling the sub out of the water, and everyone's in, when the Banshee's screaming, flying, and stuff like that, it's like, okay, like the unrepentantly superhero-y.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it just
doesn't really make sense, and
it makes perfect sense if you know what's the timeline, and they had to cram that in.
But even then, it goes against the timeline, because there's things in the X-Men movies that say, like, what was it? Because they say the helmet was made, like, Magneto says the helmet was made by Professor X or something, meanwhile he stole it from this other guy. Like, they contradict themselves constantly in those movies. So that's why I think this is going to be interesting, because they're going to Bryan Singer's going to try to reconcile everything with this time travel, which is the way to do it, because you can just rewrite it all.
And that, if that's the case, if they pick and choose and create a cohesive canon movie...
That's what I hope is going to happen.
It can't be comic book canon, it can't be cartoon.
No, well, it's too late for that.
Yeah. Movies, if this movie lets you go back and watch from the first movie all the way through...
Or even just ignore them all.
And correct... And at the end, and they go back and go, yeah, you just watched that, and it was shit, but watch this. Boom.
That's what I hope it's going to be. Or at least going to be like, yeah, you didn't like that? Well, that's right. None of that exists. Because the big rumor is that Cyclops and Jean Grey are going to be alive at the end.
I told you, I think, when I first heard that was going to be a movie, that I hope at some point he just goes, listen, look at this time viewistrator, whatever it is. This tomfoolery right here, see that's Cyclops dying.
Yeah.
You see that? That's stupid. That's stupid. This has all happened, Wolverine. If you don't go back in time right now and fix it. And he's like, that would never happen. Who would think that would ever happen? Well, in a crazy, stuff world.
Saying that the third movie is an alternate reality.
Yeah, that could happen.
What do they say on Community? That's the worst timeliner.
Yeah. That's when you roll the dice and someone gets shot and they're laying there bleeding out on the kitchen and everything catches fire.
But yeah, that's. I hope that's what they're going to do with it. But we'll see.
But that's what I would do.
Well, what I would do is I would sell it back to Marvel and let them reboot it.
Avengers and X-Men teaming up to fight Apocalypse, or not Apocalypse.
That would work too. Or or Civil War, or any of those, like, X-Men versus...
People hated Civil War. I loved it.
No, Civil War is regarded generally as pretty good. People hated Marvel. People hated Avengers versus X-Men. That was...
And that I didn't mind either.
No, I didn't. I liked it. But Civil War is generally regarded as pretty good. I think, like all of them, it's at the end kind of ruins them all.
What do you mean? What part ruins the whole thing for you in that?
Well, not for me, but for generally, I think almost all the Marvel big crossovers, they end poorly. Or they just don't end enough. They
Let everything linger just so that they can not, like, language.
But at least wrap them up. Like, wrap it up. Like, even Avengers vs. X-Men, we're still dealing with it, because Cyclops is evil, and Cyclops is sort of, everybody thinks he's evil, and has his own X-Men now, and it's just like, I
like this Cyclops more than the movie Cyclops.
No, the movie Cyclops was a bit of a whiner. Cyclops it got a short shrift in those movies, that's for damn sure. He was such a milquetoast.
He was the Captain America to the nth degree of just good boy, like
compared to Wolverine.
Yeah, as a juxtaposition, I can understand why they would try to do that.
Which is fine, but you could still make him cool. He could be straight-laced and cool, but they didn't. They just made him geeky. Or not even geeky, but, like, dorky.
So as a layman, not really reading that much X-Men, I would say it was a vast improvement in Avengers vs. X-Men. He had depth. He had reasoning. You could think. I was torn right up until the very end, and even at the end, he's right.
He is right, yeah. And the Avengers are like fucking Nazis in that. I don't... They are right in some ways. That's like saying, well, they're right in the way that they're trying to be preventive, but that's like saying someone's guilty before they've done something. And that's what they were like. Yeah, well, they automatically assume the guilt of the mutants.
But then the mutants proved them right by then getting those powers. And
but they
the world a better place.
But they made the world a better place. They only caused trouble when the Avengers fought back.
No, and see, they did an excellent thing. When they made Colossus one of them.
Yeah.
Because he was always a good guy.
Yeah, he's like the good guy.
And then he was just like bringing whales onto land to kill them.
Yeah, later they were doing. Yeah, they kind of got corrupted.
And he was away from everything.
And his sister was pretty crazy.
Well, she's always been crazy though. When they took a really good guy, isolated him, and still showed that the power was making him crazy.
Yeah.
That's when you knew.
Yeah, but Cyclops never went crazy.
That's when he was.
Because he had enough. I think he had enough willpower and intelligence. He was controlling it, and everybody else was tearing it around him.
I think he was crazy
until the end, when he has too much stuff.
He was crazy enough to start with. The others, it was either new or more crazy, but that's when you knew the Avengers were right, but they had no way of knowing that until it turned out. So
yeah,
they were the bad guys, but also the good guys, and the X-Men were the bad guys, but also the good guys.
Well, it was that's like the power corrupts. They were fine until the power corrupted them.
Right, and the Avengers said, "Hey, they're going to be corrupt in the end." And as a reader, you go, "Well, how do you know?"
But even so, without that influence, Cyclops might have been able to control the others. But because they kept getting pushed from the Avengers, kept attacking them and causing trouble. But they were also making, like, the perfect world. Nobody wants to live in a perfect world. Like,
it was going to be their perfect world.
Yeah, it would have been totalitarian and...
And that's the thing. You saw right off the hop the people who were like, you know what, we don't want this. They're like, we're making a perfect world, and there's no place for people who don't want to, not worship, but let people fall in line.
They were they were doing the right thing. It's just, to do the right thing, you have to break some eggs kind of thing.
And you can say that about both sides, and that's why I enjoyed it.
I think the Avengers, especially Captain America, was just, like, very, very judgmental at the beginning, like...
His slant is though, hey, been here, done that. It was called World War II.
Yeah.
You can't have one guy running the show. Let's take care of this.
But that was even before that was before they got the power, though. I'm saying when they came to the island to try to take Hope.
Yeah, but
they should have just let Hope have the power. She probably would have been fine.
Really?
Well, Jean Grey was fine. Hope is just really a Jean Grey clone.
If you call Dead fine,
Well, she was fine until she. Once again, Jean Grey was fine as the Phoenix until people messed with her head. The Hellfire Club and Mastermind messed with her to cause her to go crazy. If they had never done that, she would have been fine as the Phoenix.
But I think the mythos is you're never going to be fine. It always ends bad with the Phoenix. I think that's
But Rachel Grey has Phoenix in her, and she's been fine for...
And that's the thing, because one of the things, whatever comic book it is where they've come back from the future and they're also from the past, and she's got the Phoenix in her in the present, but Jean Grey has the Phoenix in her. And the
Oh, that's
Phoenix,
that was the newest one. That was the Battle of the Atom.
which I haven't read to completion. I still, I in that it's up to where I've read, still hasn't said, "Oh, Phoenix is fine." From everything else that you've ever read.
That's a
about.
new thing, though. This whole Phoenix being super evil is new. It never was like that before this current generation. Like, I'd say within the last 10 years, they've kind of made the Phoenix some kind of corrupting influence instead of just super powerful and the person's corruptible, but the Phoenix itself isn't, you know? Like, Phoenix itself is just power. It's how someone who has it uses it. And if someone really good like Jean Grey had it, she could handle it. It was only when she got manipulated by the mastermind going into her head and pretty much brainwashing her that caused the trouble.
Well, then I will.
But like you say, now it's like that, where the Phoenix is corrupting.
My experience, whatever thing that I've read, that's what it is. It's basically it ends up resulting in a scorched earth, but possibly back when it was introduced, it wasn't described in that.
It would still, like, it destroyed planets, and it's because it's just power. Like, it is the what do they call it? The purifying fire kind of thing, where it's, you know, fire is good and bad, right? Like, it's on how you use it, and that's exactly what the Phoenix is. It's how you use it. But they don't trust the X-Men to be able to mentor a girl with this power. That's what the Avengers.
Not Scott Summers.
Well, he was fine at that point. He was just trying to have his little island. He was being Magneto, really. He was trying to just have his island and just keep away from everyone.
Magneto.
He is a new Magneto now, especially.
He is the new Magneto, and
Magneto was never a bad guy. He just wanted what was right for his people.
that's why I love you.
He isn't.
Because you and I.
Well, once again, some writers wrote Magneto as a bad guy and made him be evil, but
no, you and I agree on some things that sometimes you need to have.
Yeah, he was just as he was originally Chris Claremont writing him. Magneto was, well, I guess not originally because Stan Lee wrote him as pretty evil. But by the time they got to Chris Claremont writing his 30 years of X-Men, he made Magneto just a person who was just trying to protect his people from what would happen to the Jews in World War II. He didn't want it to happen again. And he'd do anything to prevent it.
You could put Genosha as a Auschwitz type thing.
Look how well that worked.
Yeah,
they just nuked it with giant sentinels.
Right.
So that's the problem with any time you get multiple writers on something, they interpret it different, and it all becomes canon, I guess.
But that's why I like it, because you can still look at Magneto and go, he's wrong because he does this, but his motivation is this, which is right.
But some writers wrote him as, like, total psychopath. That's the problem.
The results are wrong. Like, that's why it's interesting. That's why I liked a lot of the stuff you read. If you're reading and going, there's the villain, there's the good guy, and there's going to be some sort of skirmish, but you know the good guy's going to win, the bad guy's going to look like a chump. Well, who's going to keep reading that?
Well, that's Spider-Man.
Told properly, that could be interesting.
But X-Men has never been like that. They're very rare actual bad X-Men villains. Most of them have two sides.
And that's why it's interesting. That's why you can look at even two heroes on the opposite side and go, they're both right.
Yeah.
They really are. If you look, some people can
they try to do that.
Stuck in their way and go, no, he's right because
that's like politics, right?
To look at the other guy's point of view.
Yeah. But they didn't do it as well in Civil War. They tried to make Tony's side just as good as Captain America's side, but it was pretty obvious that Captain America was the one on the right? You know, like, they went too much. It's hard to go against Captain America, too, but they went too much on Cap's side, showing his point of view and making Iron Man the villain. They tried to do it, but they didn't succeed, I don't think.
They didn't because it was so... They were equating a secret identity as the secret identity is important. Don't get me wrong, but they were equating a secret identity with something as important as genocide. And it sounds crazy. Yeah, you laugh. Don't get me wrong. We've seen storylines where it was literally the extinction of a type of people. We've already been there up high. Secret identities is down here, and to make a crossover that's supposed to be epic. It really is.
The importance level of secret identities is a lot lower than the importance level of other things.
Exactly. So, at some point you look and go, really? This is what it's about?
It's kind of, and they've kind of already done it with the Mutant Registration Act and things like that.
Right, and they were not being registered for, hey, just because you have superpowers. They were being registered so they go to an island where things happened to them. So you know what I'm saying? You couldn't really take Iron Man's side because...
who cares? I don't really, the point was, okay, so you know their identity, so what? How does that affect anything?
Yeah, and they did a good job of showing certain people that they had to, the ones that have always made it a case, I have to protect my loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a point. They do.
Oh, for secret identities? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of. But it's like saying police families aren't safe. How often does that happen? Never. You never hear about police families getting killed.
So that was my take on it. Sure, it was enjoyable.
I guess supervillains take it to the next level, that's all.
I guess you know what? You're right. Because at no point in today's society has there been someone who was like, Officer Smith, I'm going to kill every Smith. That's ludicrous. That'll never happen. And all of a sudden, every Smith in the film is erased. Oh, shit. That is happening.
That's entirely possible. And
well, there you have it.
That definitely was a filler. I hope you enjoyed it.
We're sorry. See you next time.
I like Lamp. You know what else I like?
I'm thinking that there's got some sort of copyright on just saying I like Lamp.
I like scatological porn.
Whoa!
That escalated quickly.
That escalated quickly 100% of the time.
VinlandOldTimeRadio.podbean.com. Ripping off Anchorman whenever we can.
Ooh, that rhymes. Trademark.